Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Thursday, August 6th, 2015 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is love is my affirmation. And today we are in the final day of Mercury in Leo. Tomorrow Mercury is going to shift into Virgo. And today with Mercury's last day it's making a few interesting connections. We are starting with a connection of Mercury and Venus at 27 degrees. And 27 degrees, that's a 9. That is a degree of taking action. And this reminded me, between Venus helping us remember our self-love and Mercury bringing in the mental and communicative aspect of the universe, your action may actually be affirmation. Affirmation to yourself. Actually, one of my favorite things, this is going back to Soul Garden days, but Soul Garden days, Leo energy would be, it was about going to church. And going to church for Leos was sitting in the mirror and being like, I love you. You're a cute one. That kind of energy. This may be one of the greatest things you can do to enlighten your light. Because, meanwhile, while Mercury is conjunct Venus, Mercury is going to be squaring Saturn at 28 degrees. So it's a little bit later in the day, but all today, lots of connections. Mercury loves to make those connections. And so, Saturn in Scorpio is showing us those fears, that shame, some of those uncomfortable feelings that dwell deep within our roots. And so putting that affirmation into place and being, I love you, you're cute, whatever it is that feels good for you. You glow with your love light. Whatever works for you, that might help you when Saturn comes up later with Mercury and kind of challenges that value. Do you really think that way? Oh, you aren't perfect. How dare you think that you still glow with light while you're not perfect? So that's going to be really helpful to kind of set that in play earlier in the day. And speaking of the coalition of light, that's what I'm calling Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, all of those final degrees of Leo. We actually have Black Moon Lilith hanging out down there. It's actually 0 degrees Virgo, 29 degrees Leo. She oscillates, she moves really fast. So Lilith is also enlightening that energy. And Lilith is pointing the finger at you. Lilith can do this. She's done her work. She's pointing the finger, saying, hey, don't let your light segue into ego. And I think that's one of the most powerful lessons of all this light energy versus this Saturn and Scorpio, is reminding you that you are divine because you are. You are not divine because you're anything special. And you are special, and you aren't unique, and you are unique. It's this kind of this paradoxical thing. But because of all this, you are you. You are the divine incarnate, and that's amazing. Just don't let it go to your head, basically. Let it go to your heart and instead let you glow and fly, open your wings, and be who you are, instead of being like, I am special. That's all head-based versus just showing up and being who you are. So, besides that, we've got some interesting energy going on today. We have the Sun in conjunct Pluto, and I talked about that in yesterday's scope. Pluto is at 13 degrees, bringing that evolution-revolution degree to the transformational energy of Pluto. And so this is helping us shift our structure. And I think by starting our day with those positive affirmations, I think that's one way to shift our structure into this love-based energy. We also have Mars trining Saturn. Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Scorpio. And so this is where we have to bring in that nurturing vibration. I think that's going to help with the energy, again, with the love affirmation energy. That's a nurturing thing that you can take action on to help amp up your value. Because both this is at 28 degrees. That is a degree of knowing your value, knowing your worth, honoring your worth. And speaking of worth, we have the moon in Taurus today. So much going on. I'm finally just getting to the moon. The moon in Taurus. And the moon in Taurus is also helping us know our worth. This is so amazing. I love how the astro all works together. And the moon in Taurus is making a few connections too. Moon in Taurus is connecting to Neptune, connecting to Pluto, and connecting to the Sun. And so the moon in Taurus connecting to Neptune is reminding you with all of this, Call in the miracles. You're worthy of the miracles. Call in your spiritual guides to help you through these squares, this last little bit of Jupiter and Leo, to remind you of your spiritual essence. Moon in Taurus connecting to Pluto. There's, our second Pluto connection of the day, helping bring the transformation vibration. In every day, we're transforming. In every day, it is so helpful to have some of the hardest planets, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, to have their help in guiding us through and showing us where we need to make those changes. And the moon is like, hey, value this and listen to their lessons because it's helping you, even if it's hard. And then finally, the sun is squaring Taurus. And this, to me, is kind of like the moon in Taurus. It's kind of like the sun's kind of gotten a big head during the time of Leo. It happens to the best of us. And moon in Taurus is like, hey, again, what I was trying to say, you're wonderful, you're divine, you're amazing, you're still a human. Like, calm down. Let's get to work. Let's get to business. You've got this, So, being the practical thing. Moon in Taurus is bringing us out the master in us that knows that we are divine creatures, that we are enlightened creatures even. We are full of light. However, it's like the Buddha saying, like, Buddha, what happens when you reach enlightenment? And the Buddha puts down his buckets of water, and it's like, ah. And then his students were like, well, then what? And he picks up his buckets and keeps walking. That's the attitude of the master. The work is never done. It's a continuation of continuing into our light essence, not suppressing our heart energy, allowing ourselves to fly and open up, because that's who we are. And here we are flying into the light, letting go of what's safe and moving into the new. So crazy interesting astro. I love this astro. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.